Several weeks ago, the cruise ship that I work on dropped off all its passengers in Copenhagen, Denmark, and set sail towards Brest, France to begin a 2-week dry dock. Now our ship is squeaky clean with a few new updates, but it was crazy getting here. You know, working on a cruise ship is not all sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, and dry dock was certainly an example of that. Hi, if you're new to my channel, my name is Smith-Jenkins, and I get paid to pretend to be Elvis Presley's girlfriend and live on a cruise ship for a living. And today we're talking about dry dock. The first thing that I found interesting was the management of meal times during dry dock. Because of the insane time crunch of dry dock, the company really had to prioritize certain departments eating, like housekeeping, deck and engine, and so all of our meals were broken up into certain chunks, which meant that I, as someone who did not have a duty during dry dock, was only left with 30 minutes to eat pretty late in the afternoon. Only 30 minutes. It was also done this way so that the kitchen staff had enough time to do turnover between meals. And they were pretty strict about, as soon as that 30-minute window was over, they were packing up the meals to get ready for the next meal. So if you missed your 30-minute window for lunch or dinner, sometimes you would just have to wait until the next meal or the next day, and you were just out of luck. I actually started gaining weight about this time because it started like psychologically giving me a scarcity mindset around food. Like if I don't eat enough and I'm hungry later tonight, I'm not gonna have any food to eat. And so I started subconsciously overeating, and I'm still trying to work through remedying that. Another thing that really surprised me was just like the sheer number of contractors that were on board, all in charge of different projects and all from different countries. So periodically throughout the day, there would be a very long, very loud announcement that would happen in several different languages, basically telling all of the contractors where their smoking area was, where their meals were to be had, etc. And this announcement was not short. It was really long, and you would hear it all throughout the day. Another thing that was really wild was just the lack of information that I personally had access to. I'm sure other people were told information, but I was not. And so you'd be walking to get from one area of the ship to another and stumble across like virtually a hard hat zone, and there wasn't anywhere else to go but through. It just kind of is the way it is during a dry dock. Now, I was incredibly lucky that I got approved to do a work break, and so I took a little bit of time away from the cruise ship. Since I'm a performer, we knew there weren't going to be any guests to entertain during the dry dock, so we applied for a work break, we got approved, and my husband and I spent 5 days in Paris, which was lovely. I'd never really been to Paris before, so I loved every moment of it. It was fantastic. But with that said, in order for us to leave, we had to pack up the entirety of our cabin. We couldn't leave anything behind because we didn't know if there was going to be construction going on in our rooms. We didn't know if they were going to be replacing the carpet or any of the furniture. And we'd also been warned that sometimes the contractors can have sticky fingers. So I packed up absolutely everything. Even though I'm not going to be leaving this ship for, you know, another 4 months at this point. We all stashed our stuff away in the theater, locked it, and then kept that safe from any theft. And then when we returned, we just got our stuff out of the dressing room and moved back in again. Which is why, if you've watched any of my videos, maybe you've seen my video about the first few days at sea, and then my video about my crew cabin tour, you might notice that there are some things that are different, and that is because I have, in the period of those 2 videos, moved in and out of my cabin once already. So our work break was great, but all the while that we were in Paris, dry dock was still in full swing on the cruise ship. Now, I wasn't on board for this, but I did hear that there was a mandatory crew drill, as there often is, but this one was an evacuation drill, and because of the nature of the dry dock and just sort of how the gangways are set up, they had to do an evacuation where every single person on the ship, contractors and crew members, individually got off one by one on this teeny little gangway. Excuse you. So yeah, it was a full evacuation drill. Everybody had to get off the ship. The drill was not over until everyone evacuated, and I am just so glad I was not here for that. So getting back on the ship was really, really easy from our work break. We just kind of walked right back in. They had a few papers for us to sign, and we got back, and it was easy. And so my husband and I took some time to walk around and sort of just assess the changes that had happened in the days that we were gone. And I won't lie, I walked around and I was like, how on earth are they gonna get some of this done? and cleaned up by the time we have to leave and pick up new guests for another cruise. I still don't really know how they did it. They were putting in new carpets, new lights in the theater, new Wi-Fi routers. I mean, the list goes on and on.
The women's dressing room has completely been taken over by lighting equipment. Crazy.
So for the next few days, my strategy was just sort of to lay low and stay out of everyone's way. I went to the crew gym and I went upstairs for meal times, but otherwise I just stayed in my cabin. It really wasn't bad at this point. The AC was working, the plumbing was working. There was one night, I think, that the lights went out.
Literally almost midnight and the power just went out in my room. But I guess when the power goes out, this light comes on and I don't know how to turn it off, and I want to go to bed. But that's really bright.
And then, you know, construction would work outside at like 7 a.m. So you'd hear all this banging outside, like right up against our, you know, headboard, basically. Lots of grinding noises. Lots of just loud noises.
So far, nothing going on in the Illusionarium.
But yeah, all things considered, I personally had it really easy during dry dock. I know a lot of other crew members had to assist with certain things. Like, I know a girl who works in the youth staff and she was in charge of helping like pile up televisions in some room because broadcast was moving them into other spaces and like TVs were getting replaced. And so, yeah, I was very fortunate I didn't have to deal with any manual labor. But yeah, after a few days and once everything sort of wrapped up, they started filling the tank back up so that we could set sail for Southampton to pick up new guests and begin a new cruise. And that's where the work would begin for me, because once they'd finished installing all the new lights and all the new sound system in the theater, we had to reinstall everything. Plus we got a new actor on board, and our director and our music director came out to help implement all of that. And so we were in rehearsals for a while. It wasn't too bad because we're all professionals and we've all done this show a million times, but it was like having another tech week. So if you're an actor and you know anything about tech week, yeah. Speaking of tech week, I've never mentioned this before, but I do have an Etsy store where I make funny musical theater niche related items. And I just listed a new hat on my store that says, "I'm sorry for what I said during tech week." So if you like that kind of stuff, I'll link my Etsy store in my description if you want to check it out. Shameless plug. So on the last night of the cruise, it was just crew members on board. All the contractors were gone by this point, and we had a crew show where the cast of Sid Norman's Poorhouse performed for any of the crew members that wanted to come. It was really fun. It was really cool for crew members who aren't normally allowed to be in guest areas to be out there and just enjoying the entertainment that we provide. Afterwards, I took a little sneak around and got some cool footage of some of the changes around the ship, which was really strange to be walking around and not seeing any guests. But yeah, that was my dry dock experience. I definitely want to stay positive and like not remember it as a net negative, because I mean, I won't lie, it was pretty stressful at times, but it was really cool what I got to witness. The whole operation is super interesting, and I'm impressed really truly by what everyone was able to accomplish in just 2 weeks. Let me know if you guys would ever want to be involved in a dry dock process, or if you'd ever want to work one, or if you have worked one, what was your experience on board? And otherwise, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!